They turned their backs on him. Everyone he trusted abandoned him. But just when all hope seemed lost, something incredible happened. This is the story of a man who went from being betrayed and broken to overflowing with grace.
Elias had grown up in the kind of poverty that doesn't forgive. His father had left when he was 5, and his mother, Rosa, worked long hours as a seamstress, her hands raw and aching, yet never quite able to fill the cupboards. Each evening he watched her return from work, a tired smile masking the exhaustion, clutching coins that never seemed enough. He learned early that life could be cruel, that people could betray you, even when you offered them kindness. By the time he turned 18, Elias had become an expert at surviving, scraping by with small jobs, carrying crates, sweeping streets, delivering letters. He was careful not to trust, he was careful not to hope. Then Mara entered his life. Mara was unlike anyone Elias had ever met. She ran a small fruit stall in the market, her presence quiet but unshakable. There was a sadness in her eyes, a story that mirrored his own. The first time he helped her set up her stand, he noticed the way her fingers trembled as she arranged the fruit. "Here," he said, placing the oranges with gentle care. She nodded, a silent gratitude passing between them. It was the start of something he didn't understand. Hope. But hope is dangerous. The town's wealthiest man, Silas, had noticed Elias too. A charming man with a smile that could convince anyone to part with their money. Silas offered Elias a job in his warehouse. At first, it seemed like salvation, regular pay, shelter, stability, everything Elias had never known. And then came the betrayal. A large shipment went missing, thousands of coins unaccounted for, and when the warehouse was audited, every finger pointed at Elias. He swore he was innocent, he had been honest, diligent, but Silas's word carried weight, and Elias's did not. He was fired, humiliated, and, what hurt the most, branded a thief in front of the town he had once called home.
Weeks turned into months. Elias's reputation sank lower than he had imagined possible. Children laughed behind his back, friends turned away. His mother, too, looked at him with a mixture of pity and sorrow, unsure whether to believe him or not. Yet, amid the ruin, Mara stayed. She whispered encouragements, small words that grew into lifelines. She did not judge him. She did not leave. "You have nothing," she said one evening, "but that doesn't mean you're empty. Not yet." Those words stayed with him. The months that followed were grueling. Elias found odd jobs, sweeping streets, carrying water, delivering letters. He slept in small, drafty rooms above the market. Hunger gnawed at him, loneliness clawed at him, and every night he lay awake listening to the wind through the broken shutters, thinking about Silas, about the injustice, about the hatred he felt, dark and unrelenting. It was Mara who saved him from drowning in his bitterness. She offered him a place beside her fruit stand. "We'll start small, but we'll do it together." And so they did. Working alongside her, Elias began to understand that healing comes slowly, that even broken hands can rebuild, that even empty hearts can begin to fill again. But Silas's shadow lingered. The theft had been orchestrated, the evidence planted by someone clever and cruel. Elias knew it, Mara knew it, yet who would believe them? Until one rainy evening when the truth revealed itself in the most unexpected way. Mara had been watching Silas's assistant, Tomas, a sly man, nervous in ways that gave him away. He was the one who had orchestrated the theft, the one who had manipulated Silas, and the one who had left Elias to bear the blame.
They plotted carefully. They gathered evidence, ledgers, receipts, witness statements, every detail meticulously recorded. And then, one night, they confronted Silas. It was everything Elias had imagined and more. Silas, enraged, sneering, unable to fathom that Elias could ever confront him. Mara stood firm beside Elias, the truth in her hands, the weight of months of preparation behind her. "I didn't steal anything!" Elias shouted, his voice shaking with fury and fear. "You destroyed my life, and now it ends!" The chaos that followed was swift. Witnesses who had been silenced by fear stepped forward. Tomas confessed, crumbling under the evidence. Silas's empire of lies began to unravel, brick by brick, until the town itself witnessed the fall of a man who had seemed untouchable.
And yet, victory was hollow without healing. Elias returned to his mother, who had grown frail during his months of disgrace. He held her hand, whispered forgiveness, not just to her, but to himself. She smiled weakly, and in that smile he felt the first real warmth he had known in years. The months that followed were filled with quiet rebuilding. The fruit stand grew into a small business. They hired others who had been outcast, the very people who had whispered against him. Forgiveness was not immediate. It was earned, slowly, through acts of generosity, patience, and resilience. Then came the mysterious gift, a letter from an anonymous donor, offering enough money to expand, hire more staff, and sustain the community. Elias didn't need to know who sent it. By then he understood what true grace meant. It did not require recognition. It did not require repayment. It was given freely, and it transformed everything. The town watched in awe. The boy who had been scorned became a man who rebuilt not just his life, but the lives of others. Children who had laughed at his disgrace now learned from his kindness. Neighbors who had whispered gossip now sought his advice. And through it all, Elias never forgot Mara. She was more than a partner in survival. She was a witness to his pain, a guide through his darkest hours, a reminder that love and trust could exist even when the world seemed bent on cruelty. One evening, standing beside the fruit stand where it all began, Elias looked at his hands, calloused now, strong, capable of lifting not just bricks or coins, but lives. He thought of his mother, of Mara, of the town that had both rejected and embraced him. Empty hands had brought him to the brink, and overflowing grace had carried him beyond it. He smiled, quietly, at the rising sun. The world had not been kind to Elias. It had not spared him pain, humiliation, or loss. But it had given him something far greater, the understanding that grace does not come from wealth, power, or revenge. It comes from mercy, perseverance, and the courage to keep moving forward even when your world is broken. He turned to Mara. "We've built something," he said, voice steady. "Not just a business, a life." She nodded. Empty hands can still hold everything that matters. And Elias finally understood that life, in all its sorrow, grief, and injustice, could still overflow with grace. For the first time in his life, Elias felt whole, and he knew without a doubt that he had finally arrived, not at wealth, not at recognition, not even at revenge, but at something far more enduring.